So this evening I was able to take in something new here in Manitoba. The Red River Apiarists Association put on a WebEx meeting rather than their regular scheduled monthly meeting, and that's due to the social distancing measures. They can't have more than 10 people. I think it's still that way, 10 people in the same room at the same time, and I'm not sure that we'd want to, but I think we had 70 some people come together in a WebEx meeting tonight, and our provincial apiarist Riel put on a presentation regarding keeping bees in spring, interactive presentation where people could pipe in with any questions, and it was actually really well put on, and I was fairly impressed. And another thing, I like to multitask, so it worked really well for me. I had my laptop set up here in the garage, and I was muted and throwing together these double nukes that I've been working on slowly here. And today was a perfect day with the cooler weather that we're having outside. It was not a good day for beekeeping anyway, so I was able to slap together about 15 of these boxes in the meeting time, and that's kind of well on my way. I have 50 to build, so a few more cold days coming up, and I'll probably get them all slapped together here before the end of the week. So assembling is not the most interesting thing to probably watch on YouTube, so not going to really do much videoing of me stripping square bits with my drill. But these screws that I'm using to put these things together, but I use screws because I want these things built heavy duty. So I've got, what do I use here? Elmer's Pro Bond is what I'm using to put together these boxes, and then I slap some screws into there as well, because once they're together I never want them to come apart. And the Elmer's Pro Bond I found very comparable to the Type Bond 3. It's a weatherproof wood glue. What does it say here? It says it resists heat, mold, and mildew, bonds stronger than wood, sandable and paintable. Other than having a wild claim that it's the best wood glue in the world, I think it's pretty well equal to the Type Bond 3, and to be honest, it saves me $10, and as a Mennonite, that really makes me happy. So I don't mind that at all. And so I'll just kind of show you what I've done. Like I said, screws, wood glue, and then also we have this 3/16 divider that you guys saw me cutting the groove into the boxes and cutting the dividers there in my last video. I'll put the link up here somewhere up on top of the video. And so it's the 3/16 inch divider that's snugly in here. It's glued in. I use the 3/16 because at one point I asked for 1/4 inch and they gave me 3/16, so that's what I used, and it's worked well. By gluing it in, it doesn't warp too terribly bad. It keeps that fairly rigid, and then also we hot dip them in wax, so that keeps them protected from that moisture and further warping. So I've been very happy with that. By keeping them rigid in the middle there and having that divider in, can actually stack multiples and have 10 frames on either side of bees at certain points in the season. And you'll see later on as we go on through the season that I do the double stacking, and we run 10 frames on either side at certain points in the season before going back down to single deeps to put them in the shed and through winter. So it works really well, and that's basically what I'll be working on for the next couple of days. So once we get some warm weather, we'll get out, we'll get into the hives, and we'll really start digging down into them and making sure that all of them are kind of equal with feed wise. They have space for laying and ready to really go. Right? Up until now, we just kind of been maintaining them because we keep having these flashes of warm air and then cool weather coming in again, and then warm and then cool again. So we don't really want them, and I've kind of been keeping it or taking it a little bit easy, just easing them in with, I think we've so far only put about a pound. We did half a pound each week for the last 2 weeks of patty on the hives, and that's just for them to start to establish that nest. but don't really want them to ramp up and build a huge nest out. And then that cold weather comes in, and then they cannibalize all that brood and bring it back down to, 1 or 2 frames per nuke. So 4 frames per full box like this. And then they've expended all that energy and they've used all that resource to start bringing up that brood, only to have to shrink down that nest again. So once we see some sustained, a long range forecast that's sustained above 5 degrees, or preferably above 10 degrees, going through, weeks on end, that is when we really want those bees to start ramping up. So you'll see some of that coming up. I think if I look into the super long range, which doesn't mean anything, but I do it anyway, it shows that Friday we're going to see some warm weather, and it's going to kind of flow into spring from that point forward. So very happy to see that. We'll see if it pans out. So if you are interested in seeing more of what we're doing here at Border Hills Honey, you're interested maybe in what a sideliner or small scale commercial beekeeper like us is doing throughout the year in our short season. Maybe you're from Manitoba or Canada and looking for some pointers. Obviously, I'm not directly beside you, so you take what I say with a grain of salt, and everybody beekeeps different. But if you want to see more, definitely subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy our videos, so we always appreciate a like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it allows more people to actually see our videos, and it also helps the channel as far as the strength of the channel goes. So we really appreciate you. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.